So, good morning to you all. And today's this audio recording, I am going to talk about how to write a research proposal. See, this is the most common question that we get to know before going into the PhD. It's a basic question that without research proposal, you cannot enter into the PhD. This is the most essential part of your PhD journey. I mean, starting your PhD journey. So, let's start with this question. What is research proposal? See, in a layman term, in a common words, when you join two words, that is research and proposal, these two words make the things clear that what I am going to propose, that those things, those matter, those statements, those problems that I am going to do in my research, I am proposing in front of the committee, the university, the DRC or RDC committee, or to the any fundraising committees also. So, and the basic definition of what is research proposal is that a research proposal is a formal academic document that explains what you want to research, why it is important, and how you will conduct the study. Now, let's start with the format of research. There is the first thing you will notice in the format of research proposal is that there is a title. This is the first part of your research proposal. What should we explain in this title? See, for example, let's take my research proposal. My title was Caste-Based Gender Violence in Rural Bihar, or Intersectional Study of Subaltern Women, or the main heading was the Remapping Gender Subaltern in the Selected Works of Mahashweta Devi. Your title must be crisp and clear. It should not be a very broad into the broad statement, or it should not be into the a very short statement. For example, if you are doing something work on the subaltern studies, you cannot simply write I'm going to talk about subalterns. See, the subalterns are broad terms. The title should be narrow it down. The purpose of research is to narrow it down. The study must be narrow it down. You know. So yes, make the title clear and crisp. After that, we have introduction, the background. Now, you need to explain the introduction, whatever topic you have chosen. You need to explain, introduce the topic broadly. You need to provide the historical or theoretical background of that study. You mean I mean the literature review I am talking about. you know you need to talk about the existing debates on that topic, that what are the debates, ongoing debates, and what are the ongoing writings or cultures are going on that particular topics. You need to narrow it down to your specific issue. That is the most important thing of the research proposal, or the research journey. The fourth thing says the basically you need to move from the general to specific. After that, we have another heading, that is statement of problem. After introduction, clearly states your problem. What we need to do, what exactly is missing, what gap exists in the current research, and what is the issue problematic. I mean, what gap you found after doing a literature review. Were there any gaps? Were there any issues? Were there any things, problems that you found by doing your research, by doing your literature review? If yes, then mention that into this context, into this actually thing, uh, heading. Although many research scholars have studies, on particular, you need to write that particular statement. For example, you can say in this way that, for example, many students have worked on, did their research on subaltern studies, but none of them talked about the gender-based subaltern. So you need to go from the general to specific. You need to categorize and narrow it down. And the another topic comes is the research question. Heading comes the research question. You need to, frame 3 to 5 clear research questions. Why? Because they must be specific, they must guide your study. You must avoid yes or no questions. Okay? See, you are proposing your research questions. You need not to answer those questions. I mean, whatever literature review you did, you must have some questions in that literature review. Why subaltern studies is very limited? Why subaltern study needs to be revisited? Why subaltern study needs to be explained? Questions like that. If you narrow it down to a particular writer, for example, I took Mahashweta Devi, then you need to talk about why Mahashweta Devi is relevant to subaltern studies. If her works are relevant to subaltern study, did she talk about subaltern studies? You're framing the questions for your research journey. So try to frame it. Uh, you know, and there are a few other examples of how does caste intersect with gender violence, how are subaltern women represented in literary narratives, things like that. The next heading comes the objective of a study. Now state the objective of your research. Why you want to do this research? What's your motivation? I mean, what's your objectives? See, you need before writing the objective of a study, you need to ask yourself these questions: to examine, to analyze, to investigate, to explore. Like this, such questions will bring out your objective of studies. I mean, what you want to examine in your research, what you want to analyze in your research, how do you want to investigate in your research, and how you want to explore your research journey. Basically, answering these adverbs, the questions would answer your objective of the research. Now, the most important parts comes the literature review. In this section, we discuss what previous scholars have written about the topic. See, literature review are done with many apparatus. I mean, there you can read the books, you can read the research articles, you can read the theses, you can read the newspapers, you can go into the field work and you know you can see the field work, the data, the graph. There are lots of things to do the literature review. So literature review, why literature review is so much important? Because it brings out your objective hypothesis, research questions. It brings out the confusion, the clarity. What confusion you have. Uh, the most common question I get to know. People ask me how to find the research, how to find the title. So literature review is your answer. See, you need not to summarize the literature review. You need to critically analyze the literature review. You cannot just take out any article and summarize it down that okay. Now that is not the procedure of literature. We can talk in another audio about the literature review. But further moving on, we have next heading of research methodology. Now, here in this research methodology section, you will conduct your research. How to you will explain how to conduct. You are going to conduct your research. You need to explain clearly that is your research qualitative or quantitative, is what sources you are going to use, the primary sources or secondary sources, what framework you have, theoretical frameworks, for example, feminism, Marxism, subaltern studies, etc. etc. What if you are starting data collection, if you are doing data collection method, what method you are going to use? For example, interviews, textual analysis, archival studies. Next heading comes the significance of study. You need to explain why your research is important. See, when the RDC or DRC committee sits in front of you, they will ask that what is the significance of your research. You are doing all the labor and all the literature review. Then they will ask, what is the use of this? Explain. You need to explain to them. Is it relevant to the literature? Is it relevant to the society? Or it is going to make an impact on the society or not? What academic contribution it's going to present. What's Is it social relevance, policy relevance, contributing to existing theories? Now, so in this way, these are sometimes they people ask for the timeline, but Timeline is for the synopsis. You need not to write about that. And we have at last the references, the bibliography. You can use the MLA or the APA or the Chicago style for that. See, so this is the basic format of your research proposal. And in this audio, I have explained how to write a research proposal step by step with detailed line by line guidance. This guide will cover title, introduction, research question, literature review, methodology significance, and reference. It's perfect for MA, MPhil, and PhD scholars, and even for the fundraisers. So, yes, thank you.